Hi,
Hey,
Shreya.
so I'm having a bit of a crisis. The
How are you?
light is out and the generator has conked off as well. So I'm trying to make the best of a bad situation right
Oh,
now.
wow. So Bangalore is having power cuts then?
Yeah, it's had a power cut and I have a generator in my house which is just making really funny monster sounds. So
Oh no.
yeah, I'm sorry. I
Um,
know I didn't want to cancel the session, so I'm trying to just like get natural light, but this is all that I get. So
oh wow. So maybe we can work in some darkness, and if it's a problem, we'll just call it off.
okay, yeah, let's see how it
Yeah.
goes.
Okay.
But
Happy
hi.
birthday, Shreya. Hi. Your your birthday was yesterday.
Yes, thank you.
How wonderful. And what's it like to celebrate a birthday in lockdown?
I didn't want to, so I went to my friend's place. We've both been in lockdown, so we know that we're both not infected. So yeah, that I tried to make better of the situation, but
Yeah.
that's all I could do because I would rather be sipping margarita on a beach, but here I am.
Yes. Here we all are.
Yeah, yeah.
So our audience is everybody is here and has been waiting for a couple of minutes. So I think we should jump into it right away. I'm Aarti Cooper. I'm the founder of the Idea Studio. I'm a content writer and a customer experience consultant. And I have with me the lovely Shreya, who is in darkness due to her power cut. But Shreya, tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do in the space of mental health.
Sure. So yeah, I'm Shreya. You can see my handle and like learn a lot more about me because I share my personal story on my page. But the work I do, kind of, it's on a spectrum. So I work with life improvement, which basically means if you feel stuck in your life, if you're kind of going through a difficult phase right now, you're struggling with relationships, or even you want to get into a relationship and you don't know how, then I'd be that person who would guide you. And then I also deal with the sort of deeper stuff, which is abuse, isolation, grief, and trauma. So my work kind of spans the spectrum and I love it.
Wow.
So yeah, I love knowing
That,
that there's help available or like I can be the help in someone else's dark times. So.
That's phenomenal. So what you work with covers a range of human emotions, and everything that we're going through now is so unprecedented. So I wanted to jump right in by talking about the lockdown. Tell us, with this whole COVID-19 situation, there are many things going on, right? There's the COVID-19 pandemic, there's the lockdown, the fact that a lot of us have to live in isolation, and not just in India, but all over the world. What are you seeing with your patients and with the clients that you work with? What are the general trends that you're seeing that have to do with feelings of grief and isolation?
Yeah, so we spoke a little bit about the idea of grief before this, right? And there's this very interesting. So I'm gonna like go a little deeper into it if I may. But basically, like when you're put into a situation where everything seems really uncertain, the first thing that it does is it throws your idea of normalcy or what you have built in your life straight out the window. So now you kind of have to refigure yourself out. And everyone does that in a really different way. But as a common theme, fear is something that like acts up in this time because everyone is trying to put control into a situation that has no control. We have no idea how the economy is going to react to our business. We have no idea, when the pandemic will end or when an injection is going to come out. We don't know when the next flight is going to be available so we can go see our loved ones. There's a lot of uncertainty in place. And so our immediate behavior is to actually try and put some control into it. Or if not, like kind of sink into this feeling of grief, like you said, or slumber, because we don't actually know how to process all of this information overload. Yeah.
So I think the challenge is processing these feelings. That's what you are seeing. A lot of people aren't able to process these feelings and deal with these feelings of grief and isolation because partly because it's unprecedented, I guess. We've never been through something like this before. And partly because you think some people are just in denial.
Um, I mean, I obviously don't want to go ahead and make assumptions for people. I can't say it on a like case by case basis, but I do think that, like you said, it's unprecedented. No one who's currently alive has actually witnessed something like this, so we don't really know how to react to it. It's very hard to kind of like sit and wait and have patience for something when there seems to be no hope around it. So it's a very odd time. And so it's very natural for someone to actually just want to put some form of control into it and say, you know, if I'm positive, if I have something going for me, then maybe this will work. If I have a good relationship, maybe this will work. And I think you kind of said the word denial, and I would agree to a certain extent that it could be a denial of the emotions you're facing. There are lots of
Absolutely.
people who are doing, yeah, so there are people who are doing well at work, but they're still reacting a bit emotionally in their relationships. But they would just say, like, I'm not affected by, like, I'm not affected. Why do I feel so terrible? And I think it's just kind of acknowledging that we are all affected, maybe just in different forms. It might not be depression, but it might be agitation, it might be anger, even. But you are reacting to it in some form.
Yeah, absolutely. So the first area that I wanted to talk about, and by the way, we've had a lot of users send in questions. So I have a long list of questions for you.
Excellent.
Um, but the first area that I wanted to generally talk about is anxiety, because a lot of the questions that I got revolved around different parts of anxiety. And I think one of our users asked, I don't know how to control anxiety of the unknown. Every day I wake up and wait for something to happen. So tell us a little bit about dealing with anxiety.
Okay, so I have to give this disclaimer before I start speaking that I am not a psychologist. I don't work with disorders. So if you are facing an issue that's long term or you need medicine for it, then you have to obviously get that medical help needed.
Absolutely.
What I work with is lifestyle and possibly like understanding what the roots of those problems are. So feeling out of control is the biggest thing that affects anxiety. So this idea that, so when you say like anxiety because of not knowing what's going to happen, it means that you're trying too hard to understand what the future is. And that's usually what makes you feel out of control. Then you think about being out of control, and that makes you slip into anxiety. So the idea is to, and I know this is the hardest thing to say, and it probably just seems like really unaccessible advice, but the best thing to do right now is to be in the moment and find small joys. Because because I think like predicting the future is going to it's going to set any of us off. It's so strange. So someone who already feels like stress is kind of high in their system, it's going to affect them a lot more. And now it also depends on what your environment is. If your environment was never prepared for you to live at home all the time, if you don't have a working desk, or the people in the house don't have individual spaces for each other, then you're constantly like running into each other and not there are a lot more triggers in your environment basically. So
Yeah.
you have to kind of like look into those smaller things and understand how to remove some of those triggers, how to take space or create boundaries even within your little home setup, how to create a home office so that you're all functioning separately during the day, and not spiking each other off basically. And then that
And I think the most
possibly can help you. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think the most important thing you said is live in the moment, right? Because the future is so unpredictable. None of us know what's going to happen. And I think, at least I find that waking up every morning and thinking, oh my God, what's tomorrow going to be like? Or what's our day going to be like? Or what our businesses are going to be like? Or when our children are going to get back to school are only questions that nobody can answer. So it was really funny. I was talking to somebody today and I said, do you think we're approaching the end of the lockdown? And she said, if I could answer that, I would be the most coveted person in the world right now.
Yeah, yeah,
So,
exactly right. We can't answer any
yeah.
of these questions. We might, on a government like policy level, we might even be able to answer something. But even if the lockdown goes away, the actual virus is still there. So it is still scary for people, especially who have, parents or grandparents or children who they have to care about. It can actually be a really scary thing, and that's why I like to keep re-emphasizing that we're in a really strange time. So if you are feeling anxious, the first thing to tell yourself is it's okay, because it's a natural response to what's happening. It's not like you're on a vacation and you're feeling anxious and now you're like questioning yourself. it's
Yeah.
this is the reacting abnormally in an abnormal situation is the most normal thing.
And sometimes it's just good to hear somebody say that you're allowed to be upset.
Yes, you are allowed. And I think that's why, on my page, I really scream about when I'm upset. It's not like I have bad days all the time, but I do post about my bad days a lot more than my good days, because I just want people to have a voice for their pain, and just let's first acknowledge that things aren't okay, and then we'll work on making it okay. So,
Absolutely. And you're so right about this. Sadly, I've realized that I met so many people along the way who are trying so desperately to be okay. Everything is great. That sometimes you can tell by looking at them that it isn't. And you just feel nothing but empathy, because I'm sure everyone has their own battles, that they're fighting. So, speaking of control, one of the things that you said, the next thing I want to touch upon, and I know that this is a sensitive topic for a lot of people, is domestic violence. We have to acknowledge that we live in a country where a lot of our people are below the poverty line and live in very, very close quarters with their violator, or somebody who's being abusive towards them. And I know you work with a lot of abuse victims. So, sorry, I think I lost you, Shreya.
can you hear me? I just want to try
Yeah,
the
I can
generator
hear you.
out again because, yeah.
So, for everyone who's just logged in, Shreya is in Bangalore and she's having an electricity cut, which is why she's in darkness. And we're still trying to get the session together. By the way, this is a lot of light. Wherever you are right now is a lot of light.
I'm just gonna stick. Yeah, this is if the generator works, which I think right now it is. So fingers
Okay,
crossed. Yeah.
great. So we have light. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
sorry, going back to what you said about control and domestic violence, I was saying that we live in India and everybody lives in very small, close quarters. A lot of our people live in close quarters with their abuser. And I know you do a lot of work with domestic violence. So tell us a little bit about that and how people can seek help when they need it.
Yeah. It's a really complex question. It's a really complex problem to start off with, and then it's a complex answer as well, because most of the people who come to me after the fact. It's not while they're going through it, and it's very different. When you are going through it, you have to be strong and deal with things in a way, and then there's a recovery period when you finally acknowledge that this has happened to you. um, if you're in a relationship, I think, so you mentioned domestic violence, which means it becomes a lot more tricky, because to be who is hurting you, and that's a very, very confusing place to be. Personality type is and why it has come to be in the first place. But if there is love, the answer is very different from if there isn't love. Because if there is love, there's still room for negotiations and creating boundaries, creating, even looking at your own roots. Have you not stood up very often or not spoken up about things very often, which has led to something? what's happening on, I do work with couples, so I also work with the guy, like and there are many boys who have, you know,
Shreya, I'm sorry
I've
to
just presumed, yeah.
Shreya, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but we have a few users that are saying that they can't hear you at all due to the poor internet. Is there a way that we can improve the Wi-Fi?
I don't think so, because there's a power cut, so it's all working on generator right now, which is acting
Okay.
up. I am so sorry.
Yeah, that's okay. Don't worry about it.
Okay,
So sorry,
I'm
you were
just gonna
saying you
try
were
speak
working
up.
with someone.
Sorry.
Sorry, going back to what you were saying about working with someone with domestic violence.
Yeah. No, I was just saying that it really depends on whether there is love in the relationship, because the question becomes very different, and you can work collaboratively towards ending it. And I have seen couples successfully end violence completely in their relationship. But if there isn't love, and sorry, but there is dependency, so you're staying in the house because, you know, you're financially dependent, or for whatever reasons you have to be with this person, then yeah, then it's really different. But I think honestly, these are really hard questions to answer, because I don't know specific cases, but I think it's so important to be able to put yourself first. And when I say put yourself first, put your safety first, and make sure that you are speaking up and you are taking care of yourself. Um, it
That's a
it's
wonderful thought, I think, Shreya. I think it's really, really important for especially women to realize whether it's mental abuse or physical abuse, that they can speak up, that they always have a choice, even though the choice may seem difficult. And I think that's the first step to acknowledging that there is a problem.
yes.
And also, we have a few questions coming in about liquor shops. The government made a decision to open liquor shops in the middle. And do you think that this influences a rise in domestic violence?
Um, yeah, so I think the person said, okay, um, I know that a lot of people drink, and then because they drink, there is domestic violence. But I truly believe that even the reason why people take to alcoholism or any sort of ism, you know, any sort of dependency on any substance, comes from a deeper root cause. And if that root cause is treated, then that dependency also goes away. So I don't think that alcohol can be responsible for the violence, but it's probably the thing that, you know, probably exaggerates it or allows the person to go ahead and do what they have to do. I mean, not what they have to do, but what they end up doing in their bad drunk state. But I can't blame
Yeah.
the alcohol, because that person is still the same. I've drank, I've never been violent, you know, and I can say that for like all of the non-abusing people. So I can't, you can't blame the substance or anything else for someone's bad behavior. They have to take into account what's happening. And I think I constantly talk about when you heal yourself, you automatically begin to heal the people around you. So if everyone, and people often tell me like, Shreya, your methods sound really selfish. If I do that, I'll be selfish. But truly, the most selfless thing you can do is to take care of yourself. Because if you're happy, you will not harm other people, and everyone will just be happy in their own life. Like, can you imagine the 2 billion population just being happy? And then we won't harm each other. We'll just coexist happily. So just
How
take care of
lovely. I think that's a lovely thought. The most selfless thing you can do is look after yourself. That's a lovely, lovely thought. And with that, Shreya, I'm actually going to go into the user questions that came our way. We did a little poll before. Firstly, I asked you the one on anxiety, but another user sent in a question saying, I live in a different city from my parents. I haven't seen them in months, and I don't know when I'll ever see them again. It's causing huge anxiety, and I'm not able to function. Do you have any advice for this user?
Yeah, I actually want to say that I feel the same way. Actually, there was a day that I canceled all my sessions, and I just had this existential crisis, and I called up a friend and I said, and like I'm often the person who's talking through people's feelings. So I needed someone else to do that for me. And I just needed someone to hear because I couldn't figure it out. I knew I was really anxious. And then I realized that it's because I'm a flight away from everyone I love. And I don't know when I'll see them next. And then I went into a worse thought, which is like, what if I get infected and then I'm never going to see them and I'm going to die alone. So it went like my head spiraled a lot.
Yeah.
And I think what really helped me was to acknowledge this is how I'm feeling, because it's like I said, we're not meant as humans to live in isolation, So if you acknowledge this is how you're feeling, then you can actually know that, okay, like this fear is rational and this fear is irrational, and you can actually place them into their relevant parts, because the chances that you'll never see them again is not the case, but the chance that you will not see them for a long time is reality, and that you miss them and you're lonely, that's reality. And so you can actually like place your fears into the right brackets and not have it eat you up. So I always start with this idea of like acknowledging things, because I feel that allows you to then you can actually act with clarity as opposed to just reacting to your fears.
Yeah. So along similar lines, a user sent in a question in Hindi saying, "अपने मन को कैसे control करें, ma'am?"
By not controlling it. Don't control it. Listen to yourself. I think we've gone into that everything, and it comes like, if we really look at the root cause, right, it comes from this idea of productivity, which is actually a very ancient thing, because that came from the Industrial Revolution. But we've evolved since then. We actually can sit and breathe and allow ourselves to be. And if we listen to our intuitive thoughts, they're not that scary. So don't control it. But what you can do to help yourself once you know you're feeling sad is to take care of like the 4 aspects of who you are, the mind. To help the mind, you can journal, you can talk to your friend, you can basically find a release, find a vent. You can see a movie that you feel you get inspired by or you feel happy with. Rewatch a movie if there's a movie that makes you happy. Control the body. So try going for walks, take showers, try wearing clothes that make you feel good. So don't go from pajama to pajama, because it actually can wear you down. You might think it's a luxury, but actually in the long run, it tells your brain that like you're like lazy all the time. So wear something that makes you feel
happy. I'm so happy you brought this up, because I know way too many people who have been hanging out in pajamas for the last 60 days and are overjoyed at the opportunity of being in pajamas. But go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, like if you have amazing pajamas with pineapples on it or something, then like awesome, but then own it. Like make sure that you're like wearing those pajamas and you're feeling good in it, and not just that you feel sleepy all day. The third and very, very importantly is your environment. So your environment plays a huge role. If you wake up looking at blank walls, or even blank walls are even better. Like if you wake up looking at things that don't make you happy, then that's a problem. Take down those paintings or the things that don't make you happy in your house, and put up things that inspire you. This wall behind me is my inspiration wall. It's all the like happy quotes that I put up to keep myself a little motivated. Yeah. Your environment's really important. And like make sure that you're sitting in an environment that supports you. So like make sure your awake hours are actually awake hours. And the last one is have a routine. The routine doesn't have to be a 9 to 5 routine like you had when you had a job. It can be as soon as you wake up, I'm going to have a coffee. It doesn't matter what time. You might wake up at 11 p.m. 11 a.m. But after you wake up, have that coffee, because that's part of your routine. If what you do in the afternoon is, to go, the electricity is back. Yeah. Okay. If in the afternoon, what you do is to like, take shower, I said, to like call a friend, then do that on a regular basis in the afternoon. It
So
improves so
stay on a
much.
good routine. Yeah.
Yeah, because it gives your, if everything around you is uncertain, your brains is just going to go into chaos. So give it some things that are certain. These are in your control. So have your shower at the same time, eat your meals at the same time, and yeah, just keep a routine and keep you happy.
That's lovely. Thank you for that wonderful advice. I think my two favorite points were dress up and don't go from pajama to pajama and have a routine. I think that's really important. So I'm going to go quickly to two, three other questions. This came from a friend of mine who was trying to be very funny. You know who you are, but actually it connects to a bigger issue. He says, I'm forced to be vegetarian at home and I dream about butter chicken. Please help me. But the issue that it connects to is that we're trapped in this environment with just our family, right? And all of us have lives beyond that. Whether it's the LGBTQ community, who are gay, young kids who've not come out to their parents, or whether it's a habit like smoking or drinking, or the fact that you have a girlfriend but you are put away. So how do you address that anxiety of being in an environment, that's not conducive to your usual lifestyle?
Yeah. I think just as humans, we crave freedom of whatever kind that is. If you're a girl, you want to be able to wear what you want and have a voice. If you are in LGBTQ, like you want to be able to love openly. In whichever form in the history of humankind, when rights have been taken away from us, the reason it's hurt us the most is because our freedom has been impacted. And this is sort of an issue like that as well, where you're by taking away freedom, you're also taking elements of your personality away. And so actually I've had conversations with a lot of my clients who are like, for them it's actually been great because they're like, we finally come to terms with who I am as a person. My parents finally know who I am because I've just been living two lives. I used to meet my friends, never had to have a confrontation with my family, and my family just had to see this one part of me. My friends saw a part of me and my family saw another part of me, and now they actually you can't curtail that for so long, so now they're finally showing the entire self. I think this is a great point for me to plug in my upcoming workshop.
Okay.
So I'm actually going to be doing a workshop on emotional negotiations. And what we do cover, what the entire course is going to cover, is how to have difficult conversations without losing your sense of self. And this is exactly
Fantastic.
what we're talking about. You at times need to be able to speak up about what you want. Of course, certain fights maybe not as important to have, you might not want to fight over butter chicken. It's an easy compromise, but something that actually plays into who you are as a person and it takes away your identity, the cost of not having that conversation is very, very difficult. Or is it really even worth it? So you have to find a way to have that conversation.
So honestly, I have a list of questions, but we run out of time. So I'm just going to do one more. Someone asked me saying, I don't feel productive at all. I live alone and I wake up every day with no purpose. I eat a lot. So I feel like these are a lot of things in one.
Yeah. Actually, I think this is the largest effect it's had on most people, at least most millennials, because we are trained to be really, really productive, right? We have a day full of going, even if it's a coffee meeting or even if it's like a lunch or brunch plan with a friend, but we're so used to keeping our day busy. And the idea of being lazy or relaxing seems like it brings about a lot of shame and guilt in us. So, yeah, I'm going to go back to the same thing. Thank you for admitting that this is a problem, because now you know that you can work on a solution. And if you truly want to work on it, because there is one thing to complain about it, and I know you can keep doing that and complaining about the situation, but what you can place control on is your own routine. And getting a routine will change that, change how you feel about productivity. So your first day, you can actually just say, I want to make a phone call. That's it. You can even say, I just want to watch a show that I actually like and not just any top recommended show on Netflix. So just
and
like
that's
once a
okay.
day.
If the most productive thing you do in the day is watch a show on Netflix, that's okay, right?
Yeah. And like build from there. So like once you watch a show on Netflix, say maybe after that show, I'll also eat a cucumber because like it's like hydration or whatever.
Yeah.
Then from there you can say, okay, like today I will make a meal for myself. And you'll see that it changes. Like as you keep building on it, it changes. But yeah, just start somewhere, keeping a routine.
Oh, lovely. So, Shreya, unfortunately, we've run out of time, but I want to thank you very, very much, even though we did much of our session in darkness. I want to thank you for all the advice that you've given. And please join us every day. All our viewers, thank you for tuning in. Karan, Arjun, Trisha, Divya, Shohit, we see you. And thank you for all your lovely questions. I just want to say that Dr. Vaidya's is a new age Ayurveda company. And in terms of products that relieve anxiety and stress during this difficult time, we have something called Herbo Calm, which is a mix of herbs that helps you just calm down and fight anxiety. And we have Sungo, which is an inhalant which clogs your blocked mind, and it's great. It's fantastic. I use it personally. So stay immunized, stay safe, and stay mentally healthy. Shreya, any parting tips on your top 3 favorite things to do to keep your mind feeling good?
Yeah, I've been reading a lot of people talking about junk food. um, yeah, like allow yourself to have some. If you have health issues, obviously you know what is best for you, but it's okay to like cheat sometimes because that's like it also releases certain chemicals in your brain that make you happy. So cheat sometimes, eat healthy, and yeah. If you guys have any deeper questions through what me and Aarti have discussed, or it spiked anything in you that you feel you need to further converse with me about, then you can either message Aarti or me. My handle is shreya.lifecoach, and we can take the conversation forward from there. I'm sorry I couldn't answer everyone's questions. I know there were a lot.
I know there were quite a few. But thank you everyone for tuning in once again. This is Aarti and I'm signing off, and I'll see you at the next Heal at Home. Thank you, Shreya.
Thanks. Bye.
Hi guys, my name is Arjun Vaidya and I'm the CEO of Dr. Vaidya's. I hope you like what you heard. If you want more content on health and Ayurveda in the 21st century, please click the subscribe icon. We've got a lot more coming for you.